Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this video I wanted to take a look at the new Axis divisions announced by PC Gamer, as well as some of the gameplay mechanics that have been introduced or changed, which were discussed in the second development blog. Make sure to check the link in the description to view the articles and dev blog for yourselves. Let's get straight into it, starting with the 5th Panzer Division. It is said to be a beefy, battle-hardened division. In Steel Division Normandy 44, this would indicate the overall preset experience. However, in Steel Division 2, it is more likely going to affect the availability of tanks at each veterancy level that can be chosen by the player. This means potentially more tanks at higher veterancy than other divisions. Since we're talking about Tigers and Panthers, I can see the division excelling from Phase B well into Phase C. Apparently, choice of recon is limited in this division due to historical accuracies, so they are definitely going to have to be used sparingly if you want to keep those expensive tanks alive. Secondly, we have the 20th Panzer Division, which looks like it's going to lack the heavy late-game armour and focus more on Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs in the early to mid-game. Expect to be pushing hard at the end of Phase A and into Phase B to make the most of the division before the big guns arrive. It also has access to some captured Soviet equipment, like the T-34-85 in the screenshot, and will likely use these tools to facilitate its already aggressive playstyle. Said to be more like a Panzergrenadier division than a Panzer division, using plenty of infantry to support armour will likely be necessary. Third of all, we have the 78th Sturm Division. In this division we see the return of infantry using the MP44, Stugs, and PaK-43s. This infantry-style division does have extra penal units to run at enemy guns as well, and includes the new to Steel division, Nashorn Tank Destroyer. By the sounds of it, this division will have an abundance of availability, and would be quite a hard nut to crack. Therefore, it may be better in the breakthrough mode on defense than in conquest, since its offensive capabilities may be limited by its fixed gun units. We will have to wait and see if it's supported by some medium tanks along the way, which would improve its combat effectiveness. Next up, we have the 28th Jaeger Division, which is looking to be a specialist close-range division with its infantry equipped with both MP40s and MP44s for the most part. The division may have access to more infantry at higher veterancy, since this division historically was quite battle-hardened by the time progression came around. They will have access to assault guns like the Stür 42 shown in the screenshot, as well as tank destroyers to help control the open range. I reckon they will be strongest in Phase A or B, falling off quite hard in Phase C. Moving on to the 14th Infantry Division now, its name is quite deceiving, with it being stated that the division is actually missing a lot of infantry. Instead, this is made up for by an abundance of Stugs and Tigers, and this will be likely what the division is centred around. The infantry will likely have to be used sparingly to support those units. The division will be using Soviet artillery and anti-tank guns apparently to make up for their losses in those areas. But since there's not much else to go on for this division, I just wanted to make a note that I think some of the new camos we have seen so far look fantastic, like on these Stugs shown in the screenshot. The 6th division we are looking at is the Gruppe Hartneck. This is a division which has a large amount of different units to choose from due to its ragtag nature, and reminds me of a mix between the Festung and the 9th Panzer in Steel Division Normandy 44. Its core relies on the MP44 equipped infantry in, if you choose them, half tracks, and since being based on a cavalry division, it has access to Panzer IIs and IIIs. I think this division might pack quite the punch in the early game if the Panzer IIs are similar in power to those in the previous game. However, if this doesn't work out, you do still have some Tigers to rely upon in the late game. The division also apparently completely lacks anti-air, so has to rely on its fighter aircraft to control the skies. Kolek 559, a division that sounds scary, and that's before you realise they apparently have access to some elite Tigers. The main design of the division is based on unique light armoured vehicles and police troops that were intended for anti-partisan duties, but in Steel Division 2 will end up on the front line, just like they did during Bagration. By the sounds of it, they will have a little bit of everything, with a true lack of focus which could prove quite an exciting prospect for deck builders and those who enjoy browsing units. In the screenshot we see a Stier ADGZ, a very interesting looking armoured car. Now on to Hungarian divisions, starting with the Hungarian 1st Cavalry Division. I'm very happy to see the Hungarian divisions in Steel Division 2, but please excuse me if I don't attempt to butcher the original names. This is apparently an elite division, and with the title of Hussar Division, that is no surprise. It's a division focused on plentiful recon, infantry and Turan medium tanks, potentially making the division aggressive in Phase A and B. Its mobility is also supported by the Nimrod self-propelled AA gun, and for AT capabilities you'll have access to the Hetzer that may just help you through the mid-game. This division honestly looks like it may be one of my favourites as I explore a lot of the new Hungarian units. Last but not least, we have the Hungarian 5th Reserve Division. This is a division that looks like it will work better on defense in the breakthrough game mode than Conquest due to its defensive nature. It was even described as World War I minded by Eugen. It appears that it will have an abundance of infantry and machine guns and is said to be supported by infantry support tanks. These could be Toldis and or Turans, but we'll have to wait and see. However, there is respite when it comes to the Air Force, since it consists of the Pumas, the elite fighter wing of the Royal Hungarian Air Force, shown to be flying the Me-410s in the screenshot. Let's have a look now at some of the new gameplay mechanics talked about in the second development blog. Please remember that everything shown is work in progress and may not represent the final product. Initially, the blog talks about some overall changes, like increased scale, which will affect the maps and units alike. Maps will now be much more open overall than in Steel Division Normandy 44 due to the changes in location and thus terrain, and Eugen's focus on authenticity on that front. Units are affected by an increase in range across the board to create a more true-to-life experience. More significant changes are as follows. Tanks can now move in light forest. In Steel Division Normandy 44 during a beta patch, Eugen made it so tanks could move through all forest, but due to community pushback it was decided to be left out in the long run. It seems in Steel Division 2 there will be a compromise with tanks being able to move through light forest, but not heavy forest. I like the change since due to the large scale, cover may be hard to come by, and thus these patches of light forest may be just the respite you need to take cover and close range, or maybe even make a flanking play. Since infantry will still be found quite often in light and heavy forest nearby, I expect tanks to be ambushed quite a lot if players aren't careful. Firing on the move. A very interesting concept that may take a lot of getting used to. As mentioned in the dev blog, stabilizers were pretty much non-existent during World War II on the Eastern Front, so tanks will be very inaccurate if attempting to shoot and move at the same time. From the looks of the tactical interface, the normal move command will allow a tank to fire on the move, but there is a smart hold fire, which I assume will be a return fire command for on the move, since normal return fire only works when the unit is not spotted. I'm worried that the addition of firing on the move may create some frustrating RNG in certain situations, but it could be an interesting way to leverage a numbers advantage in the open, by causing panic even if you aren't hitting anything. New armor penetration system. Due to the change in range engagements, Eugen has taken the opportunity to change how penetration works. Their idea is to more accurately represent the power of different guns. The example they give is between a Panther and a Tiger tank. In Steel Division Normandy 44, a Panther has higher penetration across the board, with 17 AP compared to the 15 AP of the Tiger. However, In Steel Division 2, they want to model the penetration to represent that a Tiger would initially have less penetration, but due to the gun's velocity will have less penetration fall off at distance compared to the Panther. This means at maximum range, a Tiger would be more effective than a Panther, but at closer ranges, the Panther will have more penetration. I personally like that they are trying to make the armor penetration a bit more realistic. Speaking of realism, more realistic armor display. This talks about the upgrade from arbitrary numbers to actual millimeters when talking about armor and penetration values. It seems for the most part that if your penetration number is higher than their armor value, you will have a chance to penetrate that I assume will be calculated based on the difference between the two. This will likely be displayed when selecting your unit and hovering over the opposing unit like it is in Steel Division Normandy 44. According to the development blog, this is meant to be easier to understand than the previous system. New critical damage models. They are adding more types of criticals to the game, which can vary based on weapon, damage type and unit. Most of the ground-based criticals will be similar to those in Steel Division Normandy 44 with added extras, but one big change is that critical hits can now affect planes. I have a feeling that this has the potential to make AA much stronger, since a couple of examples include killing the pilot or pilot sniping, those who play War Thunder may experience PTSD, and fuel tank fires. Both of these will likely have lethal consequences. I'm a little worried that it could create some frustrating RNG. Finally, special ammunition. Certain units will now be receiving potentially stronger, different types of ammunition that they have a severely limited amount of. This ammunition is then intended to be exploited to give units a short-term advantage in different situations. These types of ammunition will likely require higher levels of micro than usual to use effectively, and therefore increase the skill cap in competitive play. This could definitely be an interesting addition, and has already been seen in mods for Steel Division Normandy 44. Anyway, that's about it from me. I'm really looking forward to testing out some of the new changes. Make sure to check out the article and developer blog in the description for more information. Also, let me know what you think about some of the new gameplay mechanics and what you think your favourite Axis division is going to be in the comments. For now though, make sure to subscribe for more Steel Division 2 content in the future. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.